Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former world champion and the most Terran player out there. In the red, it's Micro Jackson ByuN, facing off against Cyril's greatest stunt double. In the Rocky Zerg in the blue, we have Solar, a best of 5 Terran versus Zerg Grand Finals to the sparkling Tuna Cup. And we'll see which of these big fish sink and which swim by the end. But the only fishing I'm gonna do is asking you to smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,594 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. ByuN, the most Terran player out there. 3 command centers before even thinking about Vespine gas. It's a new map for the Team Liquid map contest, the Grid, and we're going back to basics. The most Terran build. If Solar even thought about roaches in the early game, he would be dead. If he rediscovered the ancient technology of Baneling Bust, he would be dead. But if Solar played like your normal, relatively conservative Zerg and went for 3 hatches and some Zerglings with speed, well, ByuN might be ahead. And he's going to use this extra mineral boon in order to go straight into, you guessed it, battle cruise. No, Marines. It's going to be a lot of Marines. Stim, Medevacs, and probably more of that. Solar, on the other hand, is, I call him Cyril's stunt double, and it truly feels like an accurate description. The stunt double is there to get beat up, tossed around, and have a much more dramatic experience. Yes, the star might steal all the glory, but Solar is in the trenches, fighting against people like ByuN and Clem on a daily basis, and winning on a daily basis. Just recently beating Clem, he's gone back and forth with ByuN regularly, and he seems to be the only Zerg player who, in the last few weeks, is consistently playing in these weekly or more regular tournaments. Wow, this map. One of the Team Liquid, I don't think I saw a single game on it during the official map contest. It is a close air distance map. There is not an island base, but like a patio here with gold, minerals, and rocks in the front. There's a watchtower to the south. We saw these fancy exhaust. I believe those are vision. That's actually one of the coolest ways I've seen someone do vision blockers. You know what? At first I'm like, that looks cool. And now I'm like, wow, that looks cool. There's a difference. All right, noted. But using that as a vision blocker, very interesting, especially in the middle of the map on the open field when fights can be otherwise relatively mundane. But speaking of mundane, 2 engineering base, 3 command centers, factory on the way, the 3 racks already completed. Solar, on the other hand, 49 drones and pumping more out by the second. No lair yet. It's going to be a full-on macro experience from both sides. In fact, so far, 3 Zerglings have died, and most of them just the expeditionary force so far. ByuN has decided it's time to hit that classic 10 Marine timing attack. Or, yeah, that's like 10 or 11 there. Just trying to keep Solar honest. He has an Overlord on the pervert flux capacitor, or whatever's going on there. Meanwhile, yeah, just a single Marine. And it does work. All he did, he just walked out on his front porch, waving his guns around, and... Oh, wait, that's my security footage. I know. But Solar builds another 20 Zerglings and decides, you know what, Brenda? Ooh, that feels nice. Susan? Don't make it... Ooh, you're right. Actually, we should hang out here more often, if you know what I mean. Now you're making it weird, Brent. Rocks being opened up. More in general, the further away a map gets from a wide open flat plain, so Iowa, the worse Zerg does in general. They're called the Swarm, the Zerg Rush, overwhelming. Every sort of choke point makes it harder for hundreds of Zerglings and Banelings and dozens of Ultralists to kind of shoulder their way through. And that's why most of Terran revolves around building walls in order to keep the Zerg out and long-range weaponry, whereas the Zerg love getting up close and all too personal. So far, the creep spread is nearly halfway across the map. But again, there's a huge amount of bases here. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I'm going to count them out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 per side. So 16 with that gold base down the center. Okay, it's not as huge as I originally thought, but it's still healthy sized. That's what they all tell me. Double drop loaded up for ByuN. An overlord in position over the grid. I see now. It's like a holographic experience, but these Marines are very real, and the threat they pose is something Solar must seriously consider. He's got 50 Zerglings, plenty of Banes. ByuN, the Banelings connect somewhat. The Queen's going to discourage the medevacs from getting any closer. Infestation bit is on the way. One expansionary hatchery. The rest of the Marines have been sitting here unloading on the rocks the whole time, the ones that couldn't fit in the medevacs. Will ByuN just go for the gold as his 4th base? I wouldn't put it past him. In fact, I think it's most likely. He sees it there. There's one of the only places with a real choke point to work with. But combat shield is finishing. Baneling speed. And now 7.5 minutes in, the action will really start. Both players at 150 supply. Bane speed is done. Marines surrounded, but the siege tank gets a few good slams in. 10 Marines at a time. +2 armor is on the way. The ByuN either forget or just neglect. He didn't queue up both. I think he missed the +2 infantry weapons attack. That's actually kind of a huge deal, considering Solar very much did not with his melee attack upgrades. He's got a hive on the way. The Marines working their way forward, but the Banelings evaporating Marines to the south from the medevacs that dropped out. But it's just a bunch of Marines, and look at those splits. Oh, beautifully done. 23 Banelings against 53 Marines, of course. Plenty. Oh. Well, it's a rout. Those Marines receding faster than my hairline as ByuN has to drive all the way back to his tank line, which not too far away, like halfway across the map. 4th command center is in production. ByuN down 30 supply, though, as he's just simply unable to find success with these attacks. Marines coming in again. That +2 infantry weapon just started. Big, moderately sized to large mistake out of ByuN. He's relying entirely on this Marine tank composition, and having one of the key upgrades be a minute behind is certainly not going to help. Of course, if you don't have any Marines to use it, it's not going to matter too much either. Big counterattack going through the streets and alleyways of the mass barracks supply depot out of the front. Siege tank hitting them on the way out. Supplies evened up, but Ultralisk Cavern and adrenal glands on the way for the Zerg. The late game tech that is desperately needed to deal with a 200 supply Terran army. The Queen's moving up to try to deal with the Marine tank push. ByuN spread out throughout the map, and Solar rolling with the punches as always. This is exactly where he's used to being. It's not comfortable, but it is regular company. Losing another hatch. Dozens of Zerglings. But he's got many dozens more where that came from. The Queen's building up energy as well. The Ultralisk Cavern is completed. And Solar has not one but 2 bases to the south. And he's working on a 3rd in the bottom left corner. ByuN, though, his tank pushes and he's taking the gold. And I am calling him a gold digger. ByuN always goes for the big plays. And right now, Shakespeare's feeling a little bit of competition. Double drop at the back. Drag some of the Zerglings back, but there's a huge counterattack already lined up. Adrenal glands is 20 seconds out. I don't think this is going to work. No. ByuN is well established here. He's got half a dozen barracks, supply depots. Banelings rolling down. Another siege tank loads up. Solar collapses from both sides, and the northern base is exposed. The SCVs are pre-pulled. A few of the Lings and Banes are split off, but they're not going to be needed. The planetary will be taken down, but at the same time, a double drop in the natural, and the reinforcements coming through. Oh no, the Marines and the medevacs were taken down by the Monarchy, and Ultralisk is trundling forward. There's no more Banelings left, and I think ByuN realized that and used it to great effect. Chitinous plating is 10 seconds out. And once that finishes, the Marines, Marauders, and tanks going to be significantly less effective, but Marauders and tanks are still going to hit hard enough to punch right through the armor. It isn't the end game solution. A Ghost Academy is completed. Siege tank jammed in, and again, for like the 4th or 5th time, Solar is going to learn how difficult it is coming up that ramp. Ultralisk speed is on the way. The bottom left corner is spotted. A double drop is loaded up, and I'm kind of surprised we don't see the Spire out of Solar, though he's not maxed out. That Corruptor-based style for stiff-arming medevacs out of the sky. It does require a little bit more economy than he has right now, but Vipers on the field. The 3-3 upgrades for Solar have not begun, whereas +3 infantry armor just completed. A triple drop heading in to the main. Parasitic Bomb. Going to force the quarantine as the medevacs just glide away under duress, but there is no anti-air besides Queens and Vipers, so the medevacs are mostly unchecked. Ultra's easily cleaving through. Tank targets some of the Banes, finds a better connection, drops back. Northern base being taken yet again by ByuN. But Solar is still expanding over the majority of the map. Double drop down at the 9 o'clock position, and there's nothing back here to defend. The Spore Crawler will be taken down, and the drones with it. 77 to 66 workers. Ultras, one getting chewed up by the high velocity fire, but 2 more from the south side. Retreating to the siege tanks, targets the Banes well. And ByuN in a precarious position, but he thins out the Banelings. The Zerglings are all but gone. Ultras coming in from either side. Zergling reinforcements, but ByuN holds the line. So we're a little bit too far this time. And ByuN picks up and heads for the main. Or, no, I'm sorry, the bottom left. There's always at least 2 or 3 medevacs in transit. But ByuN, the income's starting to favor Solar dramatically. He's had access to those bottom left corner bases, and even though he hasn't held on to it perfectly, just having those bases so far away, at least a couple medevac boosts away, which is apparently how we're measuring it. Single Zergling coming down, Lings and Ultras split off, a couple drones gonna be picked off, Spore Crawler taken out, and with it, any sort of anti-air. And this is just gonna keep happening until Solar... So his objective now is the Hammer and Anvil. The Hammer is the Ultralisk, the Lings, and the Banes. And the Anvil is the 4th base of ByuN. And anything in between, he's gonna try to smash. That is the strategy. That is the game plan. And now, a Spire is on the way, and not for Mutas, but Corruptors to sweep the medevacs out of the sky and pin down ByuN's army. And Solar? Well, Ghosts are on the field, and that's a spooky counter to the Ultralisk. But there's a whole lot of Zerglings and plenty of Banelings as well. 110 Zerglings. EMP on the Viper, but the Ghost's gonna need an evac. So not lore accurate there, but a couple Ultras coming around, but the Siege tank slamming the Zerglings into the exhaust grates. Somebody's gonna have to clean that out. 3-3 upgrades. Slowly but surely making their way there for Solar. ByuN, of course. +3-3 and +2 mech weapons as well. A 5th base has been taken by ByuN, and that's when things start... Now, that's the danger, and that's why Solar didn't go for Spire earlier. Whether it was a good or bad move, the reason is every time you kind of back off and go for another, where are you going? Is he throwing away SCVs or... typical contractors. Alright, one SCV will build the sensor tower, and the rest will congratulate it on a job well done while taking their cut. Woo! Overtime! Not 1, not 2, but 3 command centers now to wall off that 5th base, but Solar looking to smash it yet again. 3 command centers in production, Nidus network as well. Spire is completed. Kind of an odd choke point in general. But Solar moving to the north. ByuN looking to respond to the Ultralisk. Banelings chewing through. 14 SCVs dead. Drop to the south side as well. Gonna hit Solar's base though. Might be able to take out the hatchery. No. Ultras come down to deal with it, but he loses 8 drones, plummeting to a 30 worker lead. More command centers. We're looking at double digits now. But Solar is increasingly capable of holding on to those southern bases. But ByuN has locked down his quadrant. up to the northeastern side of the map. And I feel like when a map reaches a certain size, cardinal directions are more appropriate to be used. A couple SCVs realizing maybe they should get to work. It's just simply such a massive map that neither player able to find a decisive... It feels like Solar has the momentum. He's held on to 5, 6, 7 bases. He's has pretty much all of the tech. No Greater Spire, but I don't know if Brood Lords are a great option in this scenario, especially because of that immense size. But ByuN is building up the Death Maul. I don't know, maybe we need to consider moving the command center slightly, as they all have to kind of jam themselves through the service entrance just to move around. It's a good choke point, but maybe too good. Changeling looking out for the command center to the north side. Oh, he figures it out. Damages some of his own stuff in the process. There are 5 Ultras, 7 Corruptors, nearly 100 Lings and Banes. Up to 13 Ghosts for ByuN, though. And that's why things have slowed down. Solar not opting for Infestors. He's going to look for a base to smash. Unfortunately, all he finds are a few snipes. The double scan. There's currently 6 orbital commands. He's building 4 more command centers. More CCs than a poorly formatted email chain right now. And high-sec auto tracking. Building armor on the way. Greater Spire. 3 more factories. Interesting. He hasn't gotten Blue Flame. I mean, siege tanks? He's gonna go up to like 5 or 6 factories. This is like a Brood War style late game mech. We'll see. Some supply will be freed up one way or another here. Big counterattack to the north while Solar smashes through the south. There's almost nothing to deal with the Terran breaking through. Parasitic Bomb is doing terrible, terrible damage to the Medivacs, and the Corruptors can maybe finish what they started. Solar smashes through 2 bases, but now ByuN is cutting his way through. He got the Nidus. Oh, Ricky is in production. Ricky, the accidental swarm host, the portent of ill/amazing times. Meanwhile, the Ultras continue just chewing their way through all of ByuN's base. The main base of Solar, the heart of the swarm, though, now exposed. So, the counterattack from ByuN doing dramatic damage, but more importantly, Solar destroyed the mining bay. Oh, the hive! Oh, that one's not good. He takes out the Overseer, which means the ghosts are cloaked, and there's no detection. He just took out a hive, but there were 3 Overseers in production. Wow, special operatives, right? If Solar had not begun those Overseers before the hive was taken out, these ghosts could do so much more damage. I don't think they're going to be getting out of here. Ricky! Ricky is sent out. Wait, is he actually going to use it? No, Ricky! Not Sir Richard, but instead... Oh, Ricky. Wait, is it gonna... Oh my. Success! Yep, that's a swarm host. ByuN like, is this a long-term or a short-term problem? The tech buildings are bleeding out in the main. He's moving Overseers there to drop creep so they don't dehydrate themselves to death, which is essentially how that process works. The mules drop, and ByuN actually kind of dragging his income right back, but look at the supply. Banelings rolling in from the left flank, but there's enough siege tanks in the way of Marauders. The sheer biomass of Terran. Ooh, that was a pretty devastating... Oh my, in the last 2.5 minutes... 20,000 resources have been lost, including 200 Zerglings, 7 Ultras. We've got actually not that much Terran overall. 50 SCVs is quite notable. The tech buildings are bleeding out. He's long distance mining. Solar still has the bottom. It almost looks like he started there. We're in a normal sort of diagonal map, but no. The lair recompleted. The creep will be dropped from the Overlord, slathering the lifeblood all over those tech buildings. The loving goop of Zerg. The corruptor count has gotten pretty dramatic. 17. Ricky is still alive, and with it, hope. Meanwhile, the ghosts doing what they do best, which is countering Zerg in general. Another Ultra obliterated, and Solar feeling like he should be able to just smash through. But ByuN holds strong yet again, and might potentially be able to counterattack. Most of the tech buildings are still intact. He can still rebuild Ultras, Lings, and Banes, as well as upgrade out of that Spire, but Ricky is just chilling. Proof that Solar definitely doesn't use the Select All Army hotkey as well. 5 Broodlords. And against a low economy Terran player, 5 Broodlords are definitely a decisive move. In a more, like, full map mining situation, the Broodlords aren't mobile enough. You could easily get outmaneuvered, base traded. But ByuN is pinned back. He can't really rebuild an army. He doesn't have enough medevacs to go YOLO across the map. He only has those 2 right above his head right now. And they haven't even finished healing up the units that are in front of him. So Solar is gathering his forces, 200 supply, 133 of an army against ByuN's 108. The upgrades, at least for ground units, are nearly maxed out. Oh no, a volley of snipes takes out half the broods before they can even unleash their lings. But a couple siege tanks will be driven back. Lines up the snipes again, and, well, he tried. But buys himself some time, now trying to get up the ramp. He has the high ground, Solar! But is that enough to save him? The Ultralings and Banes crashes through a barracks itself, but one more Ultra cleaving. There are no ghosts to snipe, finally goes down. And ByuN at 64 supply. Solar at only 130, and considering his army supply is... Well, how many commands? ByuN should still... He still has 6 orbital commands. There's 1 mineral patch mining for ByuN. The Queens! We've arrived! Get off my creep! Brenda, this is like the Terrans. I said what I said, Susan. The Queens and the Lings are... What? Are fighting just unsieged tanks. And the unsieged tanks are not very surprisingly winning, but... He tried to sneak a base and drop some mules. ByuN tried to pull out all the stops, but he's running out of options. A dozen Marines at a time. So we're still at 127 supply. The army supplies are suspiciously close to even. And remember, they include Ricky, the accidental swarm host, and 9 corruptors. So his ground army is actually only 40 Zerglings and 4 queens. And the swarm host. So we're down to this. The corruptor's also here. Wait a second. ByuN back to the SCV count he started with, and it appears they're transferring to this base. Okay, but Solar is mining, right? Like, he has income. Yes, ByuN does not. He's pulling the boys! Not exactly a good sign at the 25-minute mark, but here we are. 4 more broods. On the way. Still some of those drones long-distance mining. The, tech buildings on life support, but 8 Broodlords. The Ocho. More than enough to close this out. There's only 15 Marines, no medevacs. That is a GG of Broodlords right there. Here comes Solar. ByuN was banking on Solar having so little mining. He could maybe just turn this around with the power of mules. And he's still trying it, but the transfuses from the Queens, there's an Ultra. GG! Solar takes game number 1. Wow. 1,020 Zerglings, 21 Ultralisk, 60,000 resources later in just 25 minutes against a couple hundred Marines, 100 SCVs. A brutal game, but it does feel like Solar had command of it throughout. but ByuN had plenty of command centers, so that made it more complicated. The Rocky Zerg survives the onslaught yet again, but ByuN refuses to die easily. Bringing us to game number 2. Unincorporeal. Another map. These maps I didn't even see during the Team Liquid map contest. Very excited to check them out. But thank you again to Cranky Ducklings, by the way. Yes, the hosts of the Sparkling Tuna Cup. On a weekly basis. This is actually Sparkling Tuna Cup like 83 or 84, so they've been putting it on a while. So if you got an opportunity to check them out or even sign up for the tournament, anyone can. Anyone can sign up to get bullied by one of these two players. If they're interested. But you can find the link in the description, Jimmy. Thank you. Do I need to talk slow? Well, looking for any sort of, is that a mineral-only base? Yup. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4... 10 mineral patches, 0 gas gathers. Interesting. Well, if somebody happened to like Marines a lot, they might want to go for that base. And I do love the addition of many more community maps in many of these community tournaments, since the ladder map pool has a tendency to get a little bit more stale than others. There's also a watchtower down the center of the map, but I believe it's a wall as well, which is certainly interesting. Well, so we're living up to his nickname yet again. Occasionally the Vipers, I believe Ricky survived throughout all of it. So, for those who don't know about the legend of Ricky, the accidental swarm host, many, many long years ago, David Kidd said swarm host should be added to the game, and it was good. Well, mixed feelings on that. But skipping forward, the swarm host by default is on the A key to build it. You select a larva, you build a swarm host. So if you accidentally think you're selecting your army while you have larva selected, boom, Ricky was born. And that happens on such a regular basis for Zerg players. And it's usually just 1 or 2, because you're just tapping it to 8-click, right? So, but Ricky, he's not an accident, all right? We love him just the same as we love every mistake in our lives. So, like and subscribe to show your support for accidental swarm hosts everywhere. Or the Accidental Swarm Host Society, or ASS for short. One, Destiny Cloud Fizz build. Third command center only really greedy instead of obscenely greedy this time. The queens, what am I watching? Not quite hunted down. Reaper gets away. Metabolic boost. Zergling speed. In production. A little bit later, he got his third base up. Usually players will delay it just a bit to make sure you can get that third base before the pesky Reaper gets across the map and, does pesky Reaper things. Banshee with Cloak in production. And I'm interested to see if ByuN knows about the mineral-only base. Alright? Because any incentive to just make a bunch more Marines, he doesn't need an incentive. But having one will only exacerbate the problem. Queen's boxing out the Reaper Hellion. Let's see if Solar mixes it up. But if it ain't broke, there's really no need to fix it. Just that straight up Massling Bane, some stock standard macro Zerg. the focus on the upgrades, and then eventually the Corruptors really turned the tide. I don't blame him for taking so long to get there, as if you try to invest in either your army supply or just your resources in Corruptors too early, you'll get rolled on the ground. That's what he was trying to avoid. You do not want to be caught being able to take out all their medevacs and then 20 Marines just waltz in and win the game. Banshee glides by, gets a couple kills. And the Hellions. Oh, Zergling's in position. ByuN is already committed. Hellions in the natural. The Queen on the ramp. They're trying to slip by. Where's the grenade? Well, he just goes for the natural. 10 drones incinerated. And the Banshee also died. If the Banshee didn't also die, it would still be bad. But the Banshee dying, I think, turns this from meh to eh. Notice the tone. So, Solar will recover from that quickly. Without especially any Hellions on the ground to deal with it, and without any Banshees in the sky to prevent a counter, well, besides the one he has at home, Solar now has free reign. The creep spread is going to metastasize exponentially. All right, those tumors pushing across the entire map. There's nothing to stop them. It's going to be another minute and a half until the medevacs come out, right around that 7 to 7.5 minute mark. And that means this Cloak Banshee going to try to get something done. Solar is at 69 drones, now a little bit less, which is not as nice, but still in comparison to ByuN, who's at 58 workers and counting. Solar's already got the infestation pit on the way. He's opted for the roaches this time. Have a more stable baseline in order to deal with the Marines and medevacs. I wouldn't be surprised to see a quicker Spire. Probably not before the Hive Tech is online. And get off my creep! Very dramatic, right? Oh, shut up. I don't... Sorry, I blacked out for a moment. And this, so if you want to know why we kind of stopped doing watchtowers in the middle of the map or super key locations like choke points, Exhibit A, this siege tank on the other side of the wall watchtower. Honestly, that's probably at least a portion of why we're seeing Roach Ravager out of Solar. Roach Ravager, a much better chance to deal with this. Obviously, Zerglings cannot. Not without going all the way around. Siege tank backs off already. The wall tower. Marine drop. Getting some work done to the south now. Finally starting to push the creep back. 87 drones already for Solar, though. Hive is nearly completed. He's gotten everything he wanted. The Hellions and Banshees were, I think losing him was a mistake. And now ByuN is paying the price. I love how Solar, I don't know if he was inspired by the last game, but actually using the creep drop on the Overlords. Alright. A gross yet effective ability. Down goes one medevac from the low ground. A single Queen. The Marines are dropping on top, but the transfuses should be there. And he'll get another medevac. Queen surviving through all this. Is there enough energy for more? Oh, abandoned her at the end, but the Marines are cornered by the Queens. Which is pretty hardcore. There's the Ultra Cavern. Viper's about to complete. ByuN coming down with quite a dangerous army. Baneling speed is not yet done. So that makes it a lot easier to deal with here, obviously. Those siege tanks on the higher ground. Machine gun corrosive bile burst fire. Takes out one. And ByuN picks up. Any guesses where he's heading? Boost towards the main. Though, there are already spore crawlers in position. Not enough energy for parasitic bomb, but the perimeter defense crawlers are not quite in range. He gets one of the Vipers. Gonna lose a medevac. Meanwhile, fourth base attempted. ByuN didn't go down the center with it. Didn't go for the mineral-only base. The one off to the right side, a little more defensible, but... Ultralisk in production. Did he get chitinous plating? No. Ultra upgrades. No adrenal glands yet. So Solar, he's been under some pressure, but now's the time. There we are. Thank you. Adrenal glands kind of splitting, and he realizes the watchtower siege tanks are certainly a strong option, but the problem is Solar now has both sides of the map. Widowmine takes the hit, moves forward still. Things and Banes. Everything but Ultras have speed so far. Though the creep isn't quite there yet. Knocks out another mine. Bioforce enough to... No, the Ultra! Technically, though, the technical term is dummy thick right now. But meanwhile... Wait, what did he just take out? Was that a Baneling nest? Ultralisk Cavern? Unclear, but he just took out a spawning pool and an Ultralisk Cavern. So, the tech tree once again being chopped down by ByuN as the Bioforce moves in down the center. Ultra still cleaving through any survivors that weren't lucky enough to get picked up in the medevacs. And ByuN is starting to claw this back somewhat ironically as Solar had such command of the early mid-game. And he still has a very strong army. But he did not finish... In fact, he lost the Ultralisk Cavern before Chitinous Plate. Oh my. Queen takes out another medevac. He lost the Ultra Cavern before Chitinous Plating, and he lost the spawning pool before Adrenal Glands completed. So 2 significant upgrades denied completely, and will severely delay Solar's ability to have that maximum strength Zerg army. But he still has his hive intact. The minefield is coming together. One Ultra still, just gonna eat the hits, but in the top right corner, a double drop will be gunning down the drones. 13 drones dead, and the hatchery will be taken out as well. Solar reeling from ByuN multitasking so far. "13 drones dead, and more. There's always another army. ByuN with 120 army supply. Tearing through everything in front of him. The creep has already been pushed all the way back into Solar's half of the map after expanding nearly to ByuN's. Ghost Academy just completed. 4 Marauders on the way simultaneously. Medevacs low on energy. He found the mineral base. And the Bioforce just keeps moving in. 200 supply does not seem like enough to deal with ByuN's armies. He's in the main. Take it out there. He's going for the spawning pool again. Not going to get it. There's still an Ultra in the main. Parasitic Bomb on the medevacs. The ground army going to cleave through what they can. No Chitinous Plating on the Ultras means he's paperless. Is that a rock tower? He could actually isolate this base potentially. Might be worth doing for ByuN to keep Solar out of it a little longer and make it easier to drop. Yeah, the rock towers can turn this into a semi-island base. At least some sort of peninsula out there. Chitinous Plating now completed. Ghosts in production. 3-3 upgrades going to be completing in about 30 to 45 seconds across the board. Both melee and carapace for Solar, and 3-3 infantry weapons and armor for ByuN. Guns down another queen. Make that 2. Hatchery under fire. Marauders just plunking through it. And not all the Marines and Marauders will escape because they'll expect some of us in the Wreckage Brothers. But Solar taking hits across the board. The Rocky Zerg again tested. He's still at 200 supply, but ByuN is absolutely everywhere all of the time. The Marauders trying their best to kite the Ultras, not enough. Adrenal Glands about to complete. Another Parasitic Bomb, and another one bites the dust. Marines and Marauders, too much for the Road Ravager. Solar bleeding out units left, right, and center. But he maintains his supplies somehow. His income is still so high. He still has so many bases to work with. How many Vipers? There are 3 Vipers. They just never seem to be exactly where they need to be. Parasitic Bomb could be devastating. A Fusion Core is on the way now for ByuN. Snipes come off. Ultras cleaving through a planetary. Solar strikes back. Ooh, Adrenaling's just ripping apart another command center, and ByuN loses a lot of ground very quickly to 2 almost surgical strikes. Hard to call ultra surgical, but like doing surgery with a jackhammer. Zerglings cutting off the reinforcements, even some of the ghosts coming out of the base. I don't believe he has Ghost Cloak, just the Banshee version, and that doesn't really scale down. The continued aggression on either side. Solar, of course, has lost more resources, but he's also mined much more as well. Ultra's cleaving through SCV is going to work their way around, but the snipes will drive them away from the planetary. The mineral base will hold 10 mineral patches to work with, which is just 2 more than your normal 8, but still, it's more. But now, you can see the difference. As the Ultras and Zerglings completed those upgrades, chitinous plating, Ultra Speed, I assume he does, and Adrenal Glands, it's become harder and harder for ByuN to actually make progress with the BioArmy. Part of that is because his BioArmy is now more Ghosts than it is Marauders, and there aren't too many Marines either, but the Ghosts line up their shots, knock out an Ultra Parasitic Bomb on some already bruised medevacs, doing terrible, terrible damage. Now everyone's caught on the wrong side of the watchtower. He picks up and tries to drop out. Will be successful, but the Ultras just come around the side door. Not gonna deal with it for now. Doesn't want to risk any more snipes. But Solar has consolidated his forces. Yet again, the Rocky Zerg has taken the hits, and he comes out the other side, still looking incredibly strong. Another pack of mules is dropped at another base. What is the income? Well, ByuN now mining. This is a lot of mineral. He's at 3,800, nearly 4,000 mineral. You know how many Marines you can lose every minute with that? The answer is 80. Almost 80. If you can produce them, I think that's the limiting factor. But the Cyril Fester, the Burrowed Infestor in the perfect spot, giving vision as well. And so far, ByuN has held his own and pushed back. Solar's made some great counterattacks. I'd say the game is about even right now. Maybe with Solar actually consolidating a slight advantage. But that Infestor could turn that into a decisive one. He saw the missile turret coming up, which I think was for exactly this. Oh, the Widow Mines. Oh, the Widow Mines. A scan will spot the Infestor. He pops it out. And lands an okay hit. Pops right back in. Parasitic Bomb. And Liberator sieging up, but the Parabomb is dragging damage across the whole army. Stop the spread! Oh, no. There's the Spire on the way. Solar finally finding the space. There's Infestors scattered throughout. He didn't even lose the first one. Solar's expanding to the bottom left corner, which is deep into ByuN territory. Oh no! 3 Vipers! Sniped out. A devastate. Those are the 3 most important units. I think even more than the Infestors, because the Vipers are a much more reliable tool. But every single Viper getting caught on the wrong path. But at the same time, the Infestor pops out in a massive fungal. Huge damage allows the Ultras to close in. And ByuN loses 30 supply in a split second. The Ultras cleaving through. The Olympic rings of freedom from the Liberators will drive them back alongside the reinforcing Ghosts. Caduceus reactors now on the way. Advanced ballistics is completed. The Spire, I think, more of a response to the Liberators than an option against the medevacs, but porque no los dos. Solar. Whoop. The Ultras are kind of getting whittled down. Couple taken out, another couple badly bruised, a bunch of changelings in the way, but oh, the Ultras cutting off the reinforcements. ByuN again has the army supply, but he's starting to lose access to the infrastructure. A single Liberator still plinking away at things. 60 to 53 workers. The damage being done on either side. The Liberators overhead. Not actually sieging up here, a bit of a mistake. There's a lot going on at the moment, though. Liberators sieging up, and I think they're Liberators. Yes, over top the bases, 11 kills. Another one finding another angle, but the Ultras going with the head-on attack. Applied directly to the planetary. More Marines, more Marauders, Zerglings trickling in. The SCVs are holding building armor, but wait, there's more! Even more Ultralisks. And that's enough to break the planetary. It was a costly endeavor, but a worthy goal. The Liberator sieging up, but he might be able to land the double kill there. Liberators on the backside. 20 drones killed, but 36 SCVs. Mules will drop to shore things up for the temporary stimulus, but I don't know if that'll be enough to resuscitate things. As again, they've brawled it out. Oh, he wanders into the scan. 2 infestors for the price of 1. What a deal! The Ultras are being rebuilt. He's lost 18 of them. There's 7 on the field. Mass Ultralisk. Just wielding it around like a two-handed maul. And there aren't that many ghosts, if any, left in the composition. Maybe 1 or 2, not nearly enough snipes, but the Liberators overhead are enough. Corrosive Biles knocking one on the way out. Another Liberator gonna siege up, but again, Corrosive Biles knock it down. Some burrowed Zerglings. Oh, those are changelings to the south. These two just... exhaustive. Another game of terrible, terrible damage. The Queen's trundling around. Solar has 54 drones. We may end up in a nearly identical scenario to the previous map. The units and the exact situation are different, but the Zerg having not quite enough army supply to break the Terran, the Terran not having enough army supply to hold on to their bases. We're going to see, though. Ultras lining up some more snipes. The Marauder count, wow, is just absolutely punishing. Eats a couple Corrosive Biles. Didn't know he was so hungry. But the snipes are popping the Ravagers, which might be a bigger threat than the Ultras at this point. The Marauders could deal with them, but trying to drag him back into the Liberators. Supplies within 10. Scanning for infestors. Wow. What a play. You know, how many orbitals? 5? That's not an overwhelming number. Not enough to both drop mules and scan constantly. The Liberator's covering the right side, whereas the main army is headed to the left. And another base may be taken out, but Solar in that bottom left corner, completely unscouted. ByuN has not looked at that corner, and that mining might make all the difference. A Liberator is on top of the top right corner. But Solar, with the hidden base, may actually, without it, his income would be, normal base of income without mules is around 1,500. The vast majority of his mineral income is coming from that hidden corner. Infestor is popped, but wait, there's another one in position. He throws out the fungal, intercepts the army, and with it, Parasitic Bomb Wombo combo drops the medevac over to the side. The Ultra is coming around the corner. It's not quite enough to break the... There's some drones with the army as well. Wanted to get it on the action, the Predator drones, but the command center will be driven back. The Ultras are cleaving through. The Marines and Marauders are badly bruised, holding the line for now. And if ByuN knew about that bottom left corner, I think just one Liberator could deny it. And then ByuN would be in a winning position. Right now, he thinks he has Solar pinned. There's 1 base of mining. He's got 2. Little does he know how little he knows. What a battle. Double kill on the Liberators. More SCVs will be slaughtered. Oh, another faster Wombo combo Parabomb. The Ultra's cleaving through, and that's it. There's nothing left. Just like that, Solar spotted the base of the... I mean, ByuN spotted the base of the bottom left with the medevac and immediately GG's. Not like he had many other options at that point, but he finally figured it out accidentally. Another brutal game. 100,000 resources lost in 23 minutes. 23 Ultras, 200 Marines, only 700 Zerglings this time. But another action-packed battle. But Solar holds again. For the second time, he survives the onslaught. The multi-pronged medevac drops. This time, ByuN didn't take out his hive, but arguably more importantly, he took out the spawning pool and the Ultra Cavern which gave him such a large window to do more with the Marines, the Marauders, and the Medevacs. And he doesn't need a window. He'll crash directly into a brick wall like the Kool-Aid Man. But, well, it looks like we have these two having fun with it. These two have played each other so many times. These two have definitely played each other more in tournament matches than probably most of the people watching this video have played ladder games combined. I wouldn't be surprised if it's well into the hundreds. Okay, maybe that's a little unfair to Solar and ByuN, but have you tried scouting, ByuN? Why would I try scouting when I have map hacks on orbital commands? They're both pretty well-known, good-natured trash talkers. And for a weekly sort of tournament like this one, once again, the Sparkling Tuna Cup, which you should support. They also have a Patreon. In the description, Jimmy, putting on and being a part of so many tournaments. Really do appreciate it. I couldn't do my job without other people putting in so much effort to make these tournaments happen, and the players for showing up. My job's easy. Just show up and pick a replay and cast, as opposed to making sure these nerds are on time, we're on the right map, scheduling and organizing, and, you know, hosting. I like how Solar's English is actually, a lot of the times during tournaments, he will translate kilograms. How many, A lot of the times he will translate for other Korean players into English, especially if they don't have a translator as well, so. Well, we're on Kill Switch as well. Another one of our Team Liquid map contest maps. So far, really liking them, though. One thing I am noting is how massive they are. Just absolutely huge. All right. We didn't need to make such a direct tribute to your mother, but here we are. Not sure about Kill Switch. Looks a little bit... Wow. The golden mineral wall. More like mineral field. The most literal mineral field I think I've ever seen. I do love when map makers add this on the map as well. Just a little doodad that shows how much is in those mineral walls. Very helpful. Sometimes, so you can't actually click on them until you're in vision range. So if you want to know how many to send down before you get there, obviously pro players will have played the map before, but I love those little details, especially for us just watching. What is your favorite? You made it this far. Thank you, by the way. You know, most people only watch, not most people, but a huge percentage of people only watch the first game. That's why sometimes we try to focus on the first game being the most dramatic. But, what is your feature? What is your favorite feature on, like, terrain feature? I know we don't have very dramatic ones, but mineral walls, collapsible / destructible rocks, bubulas, dubulas, healing shrines. I'm trying to think of more. There's some that have like collapsible watchtowers, or Zerg rocks that time out. Neutral missile turrets is another one we tested. A popular one is lava rising, right? Unfortunately, there's only one race that can lift their buildings, so that makes the idea of lava rising maybe a little bit favored for a certain race or another. Maybe the one that had a campaign mission design. Okay, Terran. It's Terran. In case it wasn't clear, it's Terran. But did you know in Beyond All Reason, they have lava maps that actually work because everyone has similar options. Go check out the second channel if you haven't yet. Been putting out some more games. Where were we? Oh yeah, standard early game filler. Sometimes I think, like, should I really... Sometimes I think, therefore I am. But also, do I really want to say he's doing Hellion? There's always someone who points out, Winter, you're not even talking about the game, okay? You're not even talking about how the production tab looks exactly the same as it has the last 3 games. Maybe, okay, in game 1 he technically went for the 3cc into Marines, but... I do care. I do like it. And some days, you might notice, I actually really go into the details. But ByuN, I'm sorry, is kind of boring when it comes to build orders. If he's not cheesing, it's the same thing. You know what he's going to do. The details are important. They're mysterious and important. Well, they're not really mysterious. They're the same every time. But the execution, especially with both these players, we know what we're going to get. But that doesn't mean we don't want it. Okay, it doesn't need to be new and novel every time. In fact, just the action is the real experience. It's like football. I don't care if we're talking about freedom or non-freedom football. Is somebody really going to come up with a new, like, game-changing strategy every week? No, probably not. But it's the execution, it's the individual players, the personality, the style, and the violence. For either, really. That's why we're here. Yeah, speaking of violence, can somebody deal with these banshees? Stop breaking the fourth wall, Brenda. We don't have many left. All right? And the banshees aren't gonna pay for it. No. I'm loving the creep drop. One of those little things that exists. I feel like creep drop should be enabled by default. You could just select all your overlords. And I feel like you should be able to put it on autocast before you get a lair. Or it should be on autocast and only activate when you get a lair. The creep drop from overlords. It used to be a lot more relevant. Alright, the Zergling's gonna rip apart the Hellions. Solar made so many Zerglings. He's gonna lose a lot of them, but the road. Maybe you should have waited for the road. It used to be a lot more relevant because creep spread used to both spread and recede about twice as fast and slow. That was a change with Legacy of the Void. Is creep spread in general is more dynamic. Like, it spreads faster and it recedes faster. So before, back in the day, in the olden days, over a decade ago now, having overlords in position for creep drop and like creep highways was a lot more relevant because you couldn't necessarily get creep halfway across the map at 8 minutes, right? So, in fact, getting it in 15 minutes, sometimes players wouldn't have it there. Of course, the timing was different at that stage, but still. This is awkward. That is why it's not as relevant nowadays. It simply is not as big an impact. I still think it's one of the cool, unique abilities. In fact, that's what I love the most about Zerg. In fact. Stop saying in fact when you're going to say an opinion. That's not how it works. They said there wouldn't be any fact-checking. I don't... But as a 1/3 Zerg player myself, and a former mostly Zerg player myself, creep spread, the defining characteristic of Zerg, even over Brood War. And Brood War creep is not nearly the factor it is in StarCraft 2. It's a unique mechanic to Zerg in StarCraft 2. And I think really one of the coolest things, and one of the ways that, I mean, it's the only thing that looks great on the minimap and the thumbnails, right? So, beautiful. And here we have the Ultralisk Cavern, Adrenal Glands on the way again. Solar up 30 supply as ByuN kind of faltering on that early aggression. But he's got a whole bunch of Marines and he's willing to use them. Picks up the Medivacs and boosts for the main. 6x7. Oh, because gold minerals are 7 a pop. Wow, just drops out the beachhead here. Guns down the Zerglings. Gonna drop out the rest of the Marines, it looks like. And now the main force is coming in down to the south side. But enough Banelings are rolling by. The siege tanks, not all sieged up, pulls back in time. Ultralisk on the way, but the main base still under fire from the Terran army. Vipers, when near full energy, the rest of the Marines are chewed up by the roaches. But Solar, mass expanding across the field. Ultralisk again. I feel like Solar really embracing. There's no more Rocky Zerg unit than Ultralisk. And here we go. Blinding Cloud on the siege tanks. Most of them taken out of the fight. Even on the back line, yanks one down into the fray and will rip it apart with the Zerglings. And Solar clears the field. He doesn't have the forces to attack up to the high ground, but so far so good. Progress was made, but the medevac drop still coming in for more, consuming the hive that's about to be under fire. The medevac barely survives, targeting the Ultra Cavern, but Zerglings are trickling in. It might be enough to stop this before he takes it out again. Overseer comes up. Down goes the Banshee. Both players maxed out. Here comes ByuN yet again, just driving forward, but the Ultras and Banelings will throw him back. Chitinous plating is about to complete. Two infantry weapons and upgrades as well. But the Zerglings are on the chase. The Changelings are dropped down mid-fight. ByuN actually takes them out really efficiently there. ByuN picks up and heads north with the medevacs. Interesting. There is technically creep on top of that window, but it looks like there isn't because of the weird graphical bugs. It's a creep resistant window. The Ultras just combined with the army and ByuN struggling across the field. But he still has a huge amount of army supply, and that Ultralisk, even with chitinous plating, the Marauders do so much damage, punching right through the armor. Does he have Ultra Speed? Is on the way. ByuN unable to max out reliably, whereas Solar is chilling there. He's got a Spire in production, but now hitting the base on the low ground. Blinding Cloud throughout the field, and Ultras are now filling it. Banelings coming in, Zerglings rallying up to the high ground. Ultras are cleaving the army in twain. And ByuN drops 50 supply, and the Ultras are still going. 1, 2 more, but there's another one to contend with. 200 to 130 supply, with 6 more Ultralisk filling things in. Hydra may have said many, many years ago that when I'm ahead and I want to lose, I build Ultras. But what if you got ahead with Ultras? Well, Solar is solving that problem. The sheer amount, his macro is so tenacious. It seems he's a true Zerg. Well, even more than Serral, even more than Dark. Both Dark and Serral feels like the Overmind, and Dark feels like one of the broods, like Abathur. Solar, on the other hand, is a true swarm Zerg, throwing hundreds, thousands of Zerglings into the fray, Ultra trundling forward like the cinematic, and Solar cleanly sweeps ByuN from the field like a Manx statue toppling on Core Hall. Was it Core Hall? Was that the one? Either way. Solar and ByuN putting up yet again. Honestly, if ByuN had scouted that base in the bottom left in the previous game, we could have had an even longer series. But a good old-fashioned classic Terran versus Zerg brawl. Unfortunately, ByuN being toppled with relative... Okay, it wasn't easy, but it was decisive. Solar playing some of the best StarCraft of his life. He is within a few dozen points of being ranked higher than Dark now, which would put him as the only Zerg, or the number 2 Zerg behind Serral. And if we don't count Serral as a Zerg, but instead is Serral, which I would make the argument. Same with Clem, to be honest. But Solar is on fire right now. Appropriately so. So, this Solar-powered game looking very strong, and the sparkling Tuna Cup will be claimed by the Rocky Zerg. Thank you to Cranky Ducklings, yet again, for your aquatic-based tournaments. Make sure to check them out if you got the opportunity, and support, if so, it'd be awesome, as they put on so many smaller but still incredibly important grassroots tournaments. But if you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to our Mule tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals, though. Big Jagador, Mario Suit, glad you still enjoy. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Make sure autoplay is on the right video. Wait, no, it's over here. Is it? Doesn't really matter. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Good luck. Have fun. stay chill.